Welcome, everybody. My name is Jim. This is More Sunshine, Please. My Tuesday night live stream. I hit the glass sound effect as soon as I saw the button light up. And it's when I watch this back, I want to know when exactly, how long it takes for that button to light up before I'm actually seen. Anyway, behind the scenes. How's it going? How's everybody doing? I'm all right. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Welcome, everybody. A bit of Orange County, Florida news came out today. I know Zip just talked a bit about that, and I'll talk briefly about it. And then again, I think Walt and Melissa after this show will also talk about it because there's just not a lot of Disney news. So when something comes out, when something breaks, we all pounce on it. But that's just the way it is. But if you hadn't heard, we'll get into that in just a little bit. Let's see. I got this, that. Here we go. All right. Check the chat. Welcome, everybody. MGM Family Travel, today's champion. You are first in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. Jason and Bridget, Uper Wisdom Videos, our silver medalists today. And Lucy MGM. It's 2 medals for that country. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Captain Akron 27, Russ Stapleton, James Ryan, welcome. One and all, thanks for being here. Samantha Lowe, good to see you. Disney Nerd Herders, how are you doing? Pam, good to see you. Bob and Ashley is also here, so is Pepper Tree Villa. Season's greetings. Mar in Memphis is also here. D&G Explorers, welcome. And I'm sure as Zip winds up his show, we'll get a few more. But let's talk a bit more about what I was alluding to. I gotta click on another tab here. In Orange County, Florida, that's Central Florida, they released initial guidelines to reopen Walt Disney World and other Central Florida theme parks. And they released those guidelines, and might I just say, it's a first draft. These were initial discussions, so I think things will probably change, but I don't know, maybe not. Let's see. Guidelines revealed. These are first draft of how things may be done for the reopening of restaurants, hotels, and resorts, and theme parks. Differences are expected to be made between smaller theme parks and large theme parks, but those still need to be completed. Mayor Demings did say that he believes a reopening in June is very realistic and that May is likely going to be used to supply chain issues. I read that as it's written. Here are some of the guidelines released from the first meeting. And this is from somebody called Dr. Disney, rather. So let me click on this just to see. Oh, I'm going to need to zoom in on that. Okay. The Dufili crew is also here. Welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. All right. So if you hadn't heard this, I mean, it was released hours ago, so I won't spend a ton of time on there. But this is, the first ones are for small theme parks. So this is like the Fun Spot in Kissimmee in Gatorland. It said, I don't even know why I'm reading this. Nobody cares about those places. Sort of. But there's, okay. Cast members or team members. Gatorland doesn't call them cast members. Come on. Will randomly and regularly wipe down all surfaces. I don't even know if I want to read this. Let's get to the Disney part. It's just they're cleaning stuff. And then as Mar mentioned in the chat, they're encouraging seniors who are 65 and over to stay home. And this is a 2-phased operation. And I'll explain that in a second. So this is, where are we? Where's the, I need to, sorry, folks. Hotels. For phase one, which would be the first phase of starting to open things up, for hotels, people will have to check in, mobile check-in. Housekeeping will be limited to have minimal contact between guests and employees. Housekeeping only upon request and when guests check out. Hotels will offer / provide self-parking. This is what's really important. What do we really want to know? Continued practice of social distancing. Touchless hand sanitizer devices at all entries and exits. Cleaning services increased through sanitation companies. And again, seniors who are 65 and older are encouraged to stay home during phases 1 and 2. Those are guidelines. The required would be all surface and railings are to be wiped down and cleaned regularly. All employees are required to wear a face mask. And I believe Publix, our largest local grocery chain, they are now requiring all their employees to wear face masks. Winn-Dixie, however, does not require that. All employees will have, and this is, again, required guidelines for phase 1 for hotels. All employees will have temperature checks prior to start of shift. Temperatures of 100.4 or greater will not be allowed entry. Hand sanitizer must be visible at all entries and exits. Any employee with flu-like symptoms must be remain at home. I would hope that was always the case. Who knows? Mini bars in each room will not be stocked. Self-food services not offered. My camera's in the way of my screen. I've got to look over my camera. Pool furniture must be spaced by social distancing. Sanitize all door handles, elevator buttons, railings, surfaces, bell carts, and door keys regularly. Coffee makers removed from all guest rooms. Now I'm looking under the camera. And so on and so on. Restaurants, disposable and paper menus is a guideline. Touchless hand sanitizer. Seniors, again, required. Pretty much the same things. All employees required to wear a face mask. Temperature will be taken for employees. Doors and door handles must be wiped down and sanitized regularly. Phase 1, restaurant and bar, limited to 50% capacity. And then phase 2, which I'm not exactly sure how long after phase 1, phase 2 would come into play, but phase 2 would raise the capacity to 75% of restaurant capacity. Please note that these are not the definitive guidelines for the reopening of the parks. This is the initial set of them, and things could change before the final version is released. So there's that. Large theme parks like Disney World, the Disney parks. Ride and attraction queues will have tape markings to keep guests 6 feet apart. Again, unfortunately, seniors are encouraged to stay home. Cast members will randomly and regularly wipe down all surfaces. Those are guidelines. The required would be touchless hand sanitizer devices at every ride and attraction, entry and exit. Touchless hand sanitizer devices at every ticket entry / turnstile. All surface and railings are to be wiped down. What else? Employees required to wear face masks. They'll have their temperature taken. And much like the restaurants, phase 1 will have 50% capacity of the theme parks, and then phase 2, 75%. So there's that. Again, that was phase 1, and it's and phase 1 and 2, and it's just a first draft. So that was left-handed. Anyway, that's still a lot of people. Bob and Ashley says tens of thousands of people. Yeah, agreed. It's I don't know. I think on one hand, what am I trying to say here delicately? You want to get the economy going safely. I don't know when they're thinking of implementing this. I don't think it'll be for many months. Here in Florida, we haven't flattened the curve. I think this is a ways away. There's a possibility that kids will still be home at the beginning of next school year. Having said all this, I don't really know. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But this is all very interesting. And frankly, it's all we really have to talk about. Melissa, welcome to the show. Griswold Family Vacay is also here. Thank you so much for stopping by. Chris Ryback is also here. Thank you for being here. Tina McNeil, welcome. And Noah is here. Good to see you, Noah. All right. Well, that's that. That's all the Disney news there is. I'm sure there's other things. I think I saw on the, and I am really scraping the bottom of the barrel. Shop Disney, the website, they've released. I think I saw that they released new Tangled merchandise, Tangled themed merchandise, and a series of Pixar socks. That's all I got. For whatever. Okay. Back on what was it, Sunday? I think it was Sunday night after Bob and Ashley's show. Dean from the Live Place went on live. Ben, welcome. And Gonzo, good to see you. Dean from the Live Place went on, and he gave his top 10 Walt Disney World rides. Now, I've been doing a top 15 list for a while, and a few weeks back, I did top 15 Walt Disney World attractions. That included shows and rides. And then when Dean went on Sunday, and I kind of made that list really fast. When Dean went on Sunday, he encouraged everybody to come up with their own list. So as he read his, people were putting their selections in the chat. And that encouraged me to make a list of all of the rides, not just in Disney World, but also the Disneyland Resort, that I like best. So I've revised my list. Well, I didn't revise it. I made a new list. So this is Jim's top 15 Disney rides, and this is Florida and California. And this is just my list, and I did it an hour ago, but I gave it a little more thought than I gave to my very first list. So here we go. My 15th favorite Disney attraction is the Jungle Cruise. We all know the Jungle Cruise, but it's that retro Disney that we talked about on the Fifth Gate show that Dean hosts, and that I'm on with Rob Thorne. Eric Newman, welcome to the show. So there's a Jungle Cruise in Florida and California. The Florida version has the temple that you sail through, and I don't remember anything about the California version. I think I was 6 when I wrote it. Anywho, Gonzo says, hope Test Track is there and Rock and Roller Coaster. We shall see. It's not. Okay, number 14, Living with the Land. This was number 1 on Dean's list, and I get it. This, again, retro Disney, classic Disney in Epcot, and every time I ride it, it's I can kind of remember first experiencing this ride. It's just not a thrill ride, of course, but it is it's awesome to get to see how they can hydroponically grow stuff and cramming 8,000 fish into a small tank. It's just wonderful stuff. Okay, let's move on. Number 13 on my list is Gonzo. This is kind of like Test Track, but this is Radiator Springs Racers in Disney's California Adventure. And this is kind of their version of Test Track, but it's so much better. It's, with both rides, Test Track and this, there's a indoor version and an outside version. Just the outside version of this ride, they've made it look like you are in Radiator Springs. You get to race another car, although the outcome always seems to be the same. But the inside portion of this ride, which is all of the Cars characters that you know and love, as opposed to the Test Track computer lady voice telling you brake test or whatever she says. It's just I like Test Track, but I like this so much better. It's just a great ride. So and incidentally, the hotel I stayed at is on the other side of this mountain range that's right here. That looks like the back of Cadillacs. It's pretty much flat, but through the color scheme and forced perspective, they made it look so vast. It's awesome. Number 12 on my list is the Gran Fiesta Tour featuring the three Caballeros. And again, this ride has been in Epcot in a different iteration for as long as I can remember going to Epcot. And what was it called? The River of Time, or El Rio del Tiempo? Was that what it was called? Anyway, it's not terribly different than it's always been. Changes here and there. They've added the three Caballeros, and that's awesome. It's a great improvement. This is our version of the Blue Bayou in the sense that in Disneyland on Pirates of the Caribbean, you get to sail by dinner goers. That's not a word. Dinner eaters. Diners. As they're in the Blue Bayou restaurant. Well, we get to sail by, at the beginning of this ride, we get to sail by the diners inside the Mexico Pavilion at the San Angel, whatever it's called. And that's frankly the best part of the ride, sailing by that. And on your left will be the pyramid. It's awesome. Walt, welcome to the show. Number 11 on my favorite Disney rides list, both California and Florida, Kilimanjaro Safari. And I don't think I'll ever forget when we rode this at dusk and we were going by where the lions are and we got to hear them roar. That was so thrilling and so cool. There used to be a much stronger message of anti-poaching and all that. They've since taken that away, but the safari is still the safari, frankly, without that play acting going on in there, with our driver being contacted by the folks looking for the poachers. Anyway, but to see those animals, your Jeep or truck could be stopped because we're waiting for real life animals to cross the road. It's just a cool ride, and it's nice to see that these animals, for the most part, have room to roam. Timothy Rainwaters, welcome to the show. I just again, as classic as Animal Kingdom can get, because this has been there from the beginning. I think I'm right about that, aren't I? Oh, by the way, do you like my headset? This is an emergency headset that we bought at the airport once because we wanted our daughter to have a Didn't want her to listen to the iPad with the speakers blaring and interrupting everybody. So I don't think these are the greatest of quality, but they were priced as though they were. Okay, moving on my list. Top 10. Here we go. This is, oh, by the way, all these pictures are courtesy of Disney.go.com. I borrowed these all from the Disney website. This is Spaceship Earth. Again, classic retro Epcot. Sadly, I think we may not see it reopen again before they renovate it, but it's adored by many. I don't know if they're going to replace Dame Judi Dench's narration. Probably will, but I'll miss that because I like that a lot. I like her voice. I like the script. I like the dialogue she recites. Some of these scenes are classic. The smells in there, Rome burning, among others. Apparently, Walt disagrees with Spaceship Earth at number 10. It's just my list. Here we go. Number 9. Moving on. Flight of Passage. Now, this is one of my favorite rides. I dig this a lot. But as I thought about it, as I really gave thought to my list of favorite Disney rides, I think what I did was I put a lot of value into sentimentality and what I've enjoyed most often, for years and years and years. So this is a fantastic ride, and I would love to do this every time I visit Animal Kingdom. I do not, because I don't like 3.5 hour wait times, and I cannot get a fast pass. But every time I've done it, I've enjoyed it, and it's just and for some reason I think I mark it down a little bit because it's a simulated ride, but it's done so well. I actually, when I first wrote it, I thought, did I just go upside down? Because there's a moment where your Banshee does a barrel roll, and I couldn't tell if I actually went upside down or not. So on a later visit to that attraction, I looked over to the side where you can see the other ride platforms, and so when that time came around, I looked over to see if people were going upside down, and they were not. But the illusion, the effect was awesome. And if that can fool me like that, where I'm not sure which way is up, they've really done something. Anyway, I like it a lot. Number 8, here we go. 754. Here we go. All right. Soarin'. Now, this is kind of like a Flight of Passage on a much tamer level. I marked this higher because you can ride this with the whole family, and this is one of my daughter's favorites. And we go on this, and it always brings a smile to her face, and it's just pure joy. So nothing is going to beat that. So when you stack Flight of Passage and Soarin' against each other, I've got to give the nod to Soarin' just because I can ride it with my daughter. How about that? Dean, welcome to the show. I mentioned at the beginning of this list, I was inspired by your list on Sunday, so I've reconfigured my favorite Disney rides list, going both Anaheim and Orlando, included in this. And I know I added some stuff in your chat on Sunday, but I kind of reworked it, and this is a more definitive list for me. So Michelle the Quilter, welcome. And I think my mom is here on an unusual account, but I think I saw her. Russ Stapleton, welcome. Okay, so number 7 of my favorite Disney rides, Tower of Terror. I do like thrill rides, and this is one of them. I understand Walt does not. Everybody knows Walt does not like this ride, but I do. This reminds me of being a kid and going to Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. This is such a better version of a ride they used to have called Demon Drop. And you went up and you went down and you dropped once, and that was the whole ride. Tower of Terror, you go up and down, and it's just fantastic. I enjoy the show, The Twilight Zone, and so I think the theming of this is just amazing and fantastic. Number 6 on my list is the reworking of this ride in Disney California Adventure. This is Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. They took their Tower of Terror and rethemed it, and they made it it's a more fun version of Tower of Terror. Well, Tower of Terror gives you a sinister vibe. This is just pure fun. And I think there are 7 different songs that are played. One song per ride. So you could ride this 7 different times to get 7 different experiences. I mean, you go up and down, but a bit of a different experience. And the show that goes on, when you go up and down and the doors open in front of you and you see the Guardians battling aliens and stuff in front of you, it's so fun. It's funny and cool. Sister Sunshine, welcome to the show. Moving on. Oh, time is flying. Here we go. My 5th favorite Disney ride is Rise of the Resistance. Now, I've only ridden this one time, and I will tell you that it is on another level. It is amazing, but it's not a perfect ride. But it's so involved. It's great. I think I needed to ride it more for me maybe to appreciate it more, so it goes higher on my list. But can I just say, and nobody has ever mentioned this that I have heard, this particular scene, and again, all these pictures have been borrowed from the Disney website. This scene where the doors open and you're faced with this platoon of stormtroopers in front of you, it's kind of clear that they're all mannequins just standing there. That they don't even move. Couldn't they have them just rock back and forth or a turn ahead? I don't know if any of these turn, or if they do, whatever. I'm nitpicking. This is a fantastic ride. I don't want to ruin it, but I figure I can show this because it's on the Disney website. And I don't want to spoil it, but okay, so number 5 for me. But I think it's wonderful, and I can't wait to do it again. Number 4, the Incredicoaster. Now, when I was watching Dean's show, I said this was my 2nd favorite, and I calibrated my list. I thought about what I like about certain rides. So I moved this down to number 4 from number 2. Again, as a kid going to Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio, which is just a mecca for roller coaster enthusiasts. This Disney coaster in Disney's California Adventure reminded me of some of the coasters in Cedar Point, like the Gemini or the Blue Streak. If you're familiar with Cedar Point, you know what I'm talking about. This is, or even, what was the one, the Magnum, because they got that little tunnel as this ride does. But it's the most thrilling of Disney roller coasters I've been on. And I just loved it. When I vlogged this, I recorded myself on this ride, and I realized I had a smile on my face the entire time. I like this ride so much. Number 3 on my list, Pirates of the Caribbean. I've been on both versions. The Disneyland one's a bit better, of course. It's just a longer ride, another drop or 2 in it. Pepper Tree Villa, the Magnum. It was a 2000. It was the Magnum 2000 when it first opened at Cedar Point. and they may have added an XL to it. I don't recall. Carlos, welcome to the show. Anyway, I'm sorry. I saw that in the corner of my eye. But Pirates is great. Everybody knows Pirates. Moving on. Number 2, Haunted Mansion. I've been on it in both Disneyland and Disney World, and it's fantastic. Pirates and Haunted Mansion, almost neck and neck. I don't remember not enjoying these rides on a visit to the parks, for as long as I can remember. They've been a part of the parks, and I know they weren't there when the parks opened, but that's the part I don't remember. So this is fantastic. Haunted Mansion, a little bit above Pirates because I am a huge fan of Paul Frees. Paul Frees is a Disney legend. He is the voice of the ghost host. He used to have a much more prominent place in Pirates of the Caribbean. He was, among other pirates, the auctioneer. But when they recently redid that scene, he is no longer the voice of the auctioneer, which saddened me. But I don't mind the change in that. But he'll forever be the ghost host, except for Hallowishes, the Halloween party fireworks show. He is not the voice of that ghost host. That guy does a pretty good job, but that's not him. That's not Paul Frees. So number 1 is the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover. I've said this many, many, many times. It's a tour of Tomorrowland. It's totally covered. You get relief from the sun. You get to go into other attractions. You get to go into Space Mountain and Buzz Lightyear. You get to see, as of most recently, you could see great views of the construction that they're doing on the Tron ride in Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom. It's just fantastic. Also, they don't have anything like this in Anaheim, and we don't get to say that a lot here in Florida. So, point for us. So, that's my list. So, thank you, Dean, for inspiring me to redo my list. Dances with Goofy Adventures, welcome to the show. It is 8:03. I know Walt and Melissa are getting going. Let me just thank Dean at the Live Place, liveplace.com, your TV guide for family-friendly live streams on YouTube. And there's Walt and Melissa, Mouse Talk, starting up right about now. So let's head over there after I'm done. Via Pre-Project after that. We've got the Disney Nerd Herders tomorrow. I think I'm a guest on their show tomorrow. 7 p.m. Eastern. D&G Explorers after them at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And Rob Fuzz, great friend of all of us. He goes live quite often on Friday afternoons. Pub Talk, among other shows that he does. We've got Bob and Ashley on Sundays at 7 p.m. with a fantastic live stream. Pepper Tree Villa, Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. They're on the West Coast, so they start a bit later for us East Coasters. Again, 7 p.m. Eastern, always a great show. And thank you to Patrick Zippity Doodad, who's on right before me, and he always tells his crowd about my show. So I want to tell my crowd about his show. Tuesdays at 6:30, right before for this. So that's that. If I have anything else, we've got Five Foolish Mortals, guys. I think we're doing it May 9th, Saturday. That's me, D&G Explorers, Ben from Pepper Tree Villa, Charlie from Disney Nerd Herders, and we get together, and I think we're going to try to stump each other with trivia questions that we come up with. I love trivia. I'm not always great at it. Jonathan Chong, welcome to the show. Thank you. Great list. Thank you so much. But that's it. Let's head on over to Mouse Talk right now. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to try to go live a couple times this week during the afternoon. And then I believe Monday, I'm going to go live in the afternoon as well because it will be Star Wars Day. And I can't let that pass. Did I say Star Wars Day? I stumbled upon my words. Star Wars Day, May 4th. So I kind of want to celebrate that. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you over at Mouse Talk. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay home. Bye, everybody.